People always talk about how they miss Blockbuster, the nostalgia of picking out movies on Friday night. I guess I feel that way too. But there's one thing that happened when I worked there in 1994 that still bothers me. It was my first job after high school, and thinking about this one videotape still gives me the creeps all these years later. One of my main jobs at Blockbuster was emptying the quick drop, which is the metal return box where people dropped off their rentals after hours. On Monday morning, we'd open it up and there was a huge pile of tapes to sort, put back on the shelves. That's where the story starts, with a tape that shouldn't have been there, that I shouldn't have watched. Until then, I liked my job just fine. I had a couple of friends there and we'd laugh at the couples embarrassed that they were renting Indecent Proposal, which was about as racy as Blockbuster got. We didn't have an adult section like the mom and pop stores. The worst part of the job was dealing with late fees. People would come up with every excuse. The drop box was full. It never was. I returned it last Tuesday. No, you didn't. My manager said we couldn't waive fees without a receipt, but sometimes I'd do it anyway if someone was cool about it. I was usually on return duty Monday mornings. Company policy was to check each tape, make sure it matched its case, and rewind it. We had these rewinding machines in the back room that were way faster than waiting for a VCR to do it. This particular Monday seemed normal. It was so early, so no customers were in the store yet. I was sorting through the weekend returns with my buddy Craig when I found a tape in a regular sleeve. It didn't have the branded Blockbuster case. It was just a black Maxell cover, like you'd have for home videos. Craig asked, "What's this one?" "I don't know. Maybe a dog chewed the case, or a kid ripped it apart. It happens sometimes. At least we got the tape back." I popped it into one of the rewinders, but when it was done I realized I had no idea what movie it was or where to shelf it. I wish there'd been a big "Do Not Watch" sticker on it, so I wouldn't have taken it to the display TV to see what was on it. But I did. I pushed the tape in, and the screen flickered to life. The TV was mounted near the ceiling, maybe 19 inches. We used it to play new releases. Craig stood next to me holding a stack of Mrs. Doubtfire returns. Static crackled across the screen before the picture stabilized. The footage showed a car's dashboard. It was the kind of shaky camera work you'd expect from a home video. Whoever was filming was in the driver's seat, holding the camera with one hand and driving with the other. I thought this guy probably recorded over a rental by accident. I started losing interest. I was about to eject it when I recognized Central Avenue scrolling by outside the car window. Then the camera panned right and caught the McDonald's where we'd grab lunch on our breaks. Whoever was filming was right here in town. "Hold up," I said. "That's the intersection by your apartment." Craig leaned closer. "Yeah, it is." The footage continued driving down Cypress Street. Nothing crazy, just shops and stoplights. Occasionally you'd hear the person behind the camera breathing. We fast-forwarded a bit, looking for anything that might tell us what movie this was, but it was just more of the same. Driving around town, stopping occasionally to film the front of a store, or people on the sidewalk. Then I saw our Blockbuster. The camera lingered on it from across the parking lot. You could see the familiar blue and yellow sign, the posters for upcoming releases in the windows. The shot held steady for almost 30 seconds before moving on. We kept watching. Just more driving and filming ordinary places. The mall, the high school, the park. Then it was nighttime. The camera was still in the car, but now it was parked across from a single-story house. Lights were on inside. The camera zoomed in slowly on a window where the curtains weren't fully closed. A family was eating dinner. A mom, dad, and 2 kids. Completely unaware they were being filmed. The camera watched them for several minutes. Whoever was in the car never said anything. You could just hear breathing. The tape ended there and went to static. Craig reached over and hit eject. We were quiet for a minute. Then Craig said, "That was weird, right?" "Yeah," I said. "Really weird." But weird really wasn't the right word. It was more unsettling. The footage wasn't scary. It was mundane. But still, it's disturbing to think that someone can take a moment of your life when you have no idea you're being watched, and they can keep it. Rewatch you whenever they want. We put the tape back in its sleeve and just stood there behind the counter. I wonder if someone dropped it off here on purpose. We thought about telling Susan, our manager, but she was someone who lost her mind when customers kept Jurassic Park for an extra week, so we didn't think she would be able to handle this well. I glanced outside at the parking lot. It was empty except for my car and Craig's. I thought maybe we should check the security camera out there, but Craig told me the camera was just for show. It wasn't real, just a plastic shell with no wires inside. The bell above the door chimed as our first customer of the day pushed through the front door. A lady who asked us if we had Sister Act. Craig and I switched into employee mode. That day was the longest Monday shift I'd ever worked. Every customer who came in, I find myself wondering, was it you? Did you make that tape? By closing time, we hadn't decided what to do. One of our friends, Katie, came in for a shift and we told her about it. She watched part of it, but then she said we should call the cops. I didn't think they could do anything since nothing we saw on the tape was illegal. It's creepy though, Katie said. We finally decided to put the tape in the lost and found box behind the counter. Maybe the person would realize they dropped off the wrong tape and come looking for it. Then we could see who they were. No one came for it that day, or the next, or all week. I tried to forget about it, I really did, but I caught myself looking more carefully at the customers who came in. By the following Monday, the tape was still in the lost and found. Now that a week had passed, I didn't care as much. I decided it could have just been some weirdo's art school project. Letting my guard down actually made what happened next way worse. I emptied the quick drop. There it was. Another unmarked tape in a black sleeve, mixed into the pile of weekend returns. My hand shook a little as I picked it up. There was nothing to identify whose it was or what was on it. I glanced around the empty store, half expecting to see someone watching me through the windows. But there was only the gray morning light and an empty parking lot. I put the tape aside and continued sorting the returns, trying to act normal. When Craig showed up for his shift, I showed it to him. We decided to watch it after closing. The day crawled by. I kept an eye on the customers, wondering if one of them was watching and waiting for a reaction, to see if we'd found the tape yet. There was a middle-aged accountant-looking guy who checked out the thrillers for half an hour and didn't rent anything, and a woman who wore sunglasses inside the store. But that was the most suspicious stuff that happened. We locked the doors at 10 p.m. and went right to the VCR. We didn't say much as I pushed play. The first thing we saw was rain on a windshield, wipers pushing water aside over and over. It was night. You could see reflected halos from streetlights through the wet glass. The camera was in a car again, but this time it was following another vehicle, a dark sedan moving through the rain-soaked streets. The footage followed the same car for several minutes, tailing it, sometimes nearly losing it at a traffic light, then catching up. When the sedan turned onto a side street, the camera panned across the signpost so you could read what it said. Sycamore Drive. My street. I watched the car, my car, pull into my driveway. The camera stayed across the street and the engine was off, so the footage was disturbingly quiet. I was in a lucid dream or something, just watching as the headlights turned off and I watched myself get out, hurrying through the rain to my front door with my blue Blockbuster polo and khakis on. Craig looked at me, but I couldn't take my eyes off the screen. The footage cut to a different night. You could tell because the sky was clear. It was still at my house, though. The camera was on foot this time, moving slowly across my lawn, keeping to the perimeter. It approached my living room window, where light spilled out through the gap in the curtains. Through the window, I could see myself on the couch, watching TV, completely unaware. The footage jumped again, and now the camera was filming a different window, one in my bedroom. The camera zoomed in slowly. Through the blinds, a sliver of my room was visible. My unmade bed, nightstand, and clock radio. The camera waited. Minutes passed with no movement or sound. Then I walked into the frame, getting ready for bed. The tape ended. My ears were ringing. The timestamp in the corner showed the date, 3 nights ago, While I was sleeping, the person who made this tape was outside my window, watching. Craig said something, but I couldn't really hear him. It was like I was underwater. I ejected the tape, ripped the ribbon out of it, and hurled it into the wall before I walked out. I drove home, checking my rear view mirror every few seconds. Inside my apartment, I looked at my window from the outside. How easy it would be for someone to stand there, how exposed I'd been without knowing. I didn't sleep that night. I called in sick the next day, and the next. Then on the third day, I quit. I moved out of my apartment that weekend. I went to stay with my cousin 2 towns over. I didn't leave a forwarding address. All these years later, I still think about those tapes. The ones I wish I didn't watch. Who made them? Are they still out there? I don't own a video camera. I've never even recorded videos on my phone, not even at birthdays or weddings. I tell people I just like to live in the moment, but really, it makes me uncomfortable. The irony is, I work at the city archives now. My job is digitizing old VHS tapes before they degrade completely. It's mostly local news footage, public access shows, and home videos donated to historical collections. Every day I spend hours watching strangers. Sometimes I wonder if the person who made the Blockbuster tapes felt the same strange power I do. Sitting alone in a dark room, rewinding and fast-forwarding through other people's lives.